Welcome back to the Wrestling Related Podcast, where the topics are related to wrestling. The three of us are related to each other. I'm Josh. That bushwhacker-looking guy down there is...
You're actually admitting that you're related to that? This is Dustin, by the way.
And Corey.
And you guys are catching us on demand on your favorite podcasting platform. Make sure to leave a comment, like it, share it, send it to all of your fellow wrestling fans and say, guess what? These guys are definitely brothers, and I don't know how they're actually able to keep a show together for an hour when they're just rambling and talking over each other all the time.
It helps when I'm 1,000 miles away.
This is true, too.
Yes.
I thought you were gonna say I can't believe that they're not like beating on each other, but we're in different.
Yeah,
we live
different
locations.
locations. So. Yeah,
because otherwise that becomes a whole other issue. Dustin starts trying to chop everybody and beating them on the back, and yeah, he's like, "Come here."
Correct. Hey, couple quick shout outs. One that Dustin did last week. Official Dalen. I didn't get the notification for this one. Shout out to Dustin for putting me onto this pod when he came into my shop. Gave the good old love sign, and y'all are awesome. You are as well. Glad you're listening. Glad you're checking it out.
Tell your
friends.
Are
you even going to explain why I have that picture up?
Nope.
And the fact that apparently I am not technically savvy. I am like,
you
technology illiterate.
The only people that are even going to know about this photo that you've got, bushwhacker-looking dude, is those people that happen to catch us on YouTube, which, yes, we are on YouTube. Everything else is audio only. But I guess if you want to find out, you can see him doing his best Bo or Luke. Not Bo and Luke. Butch and Luke. I go from bushwhackers to, like, Dukes of Hazzard.
Can you imagine seeing the bushwhackers trying to get in the General Lee with those welded doors?
Just the Mozzie boys.
You would see Roscoe back there going,
it's New Zealand.
Oh, it was New Zealand. That's right.
Sorry.
Okay. And we got another shout out, John Hayes. This one is going to be interesting because it's from John Hayes. He said, "Good job fixing everyone's names on the intros, Josh. I don't know what I did there, but I'm glad I did it. Next week, I think you should all introduce yourself as Mom's Favorite." I forgot the t-shirt. No. John, I think if we did that, we wouldn't talk wrestling because it would just be arguments. Let's see.
Well, and we need to set the record straight on all the favorites because Mom's favorite from Mom is whichever one she's with.
True.
So what we ought to do is we ought to bring her on the podcast and turn around and put her on the spot. Say, okay, now you're with all three of us. Who's your favorite?
She would probably say BJ at that point.
She'll say BJ. Yeah.
Yep.
That guy.
Okay, John Hayes continues with his multi-part comment. With as much as they were talking up stats on people cashing in the briefcase first night, I figured that it would get cashed in. But Triple Threat surprised me, and I was waiting to see how Punk got involved because you knew it was going to be happening.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and did I hear another stat on Money in the Bank cash-ins that the Miss Money in the Bank has 100% cash-in record?
How many are there?
Like 5.
I shouldn't say 5, 4 or 5.
But if that's the case, then I guess, Tiffy in the Bank's going to have to lose it.
Well, I did see that in Mexico, she was trying to cash it in over the weekend, but then somebody else came out and interrupted, and they never rang the bell, so it's not official, and she still keeps the briefcase.
Yep.
But they did announce Stephanie. What's her last name again?
Vacour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so excited to see that.
Wow. I'm holding my excitement. I will be excited if they actually put her on the main roster. But if they do what they do to most of their...
altogether?
Yeah, if they do what they do to most of their indies and they stick her on NXT, then any buzz, any hype that she has right now is going to die off. I was hopeful though, because at least they let her have her name and they were promoting her on social media. The last person they really did that with was y'all's favorite, Miss Cargill. So,
and they for Stephanie, they wound up giving her a shout out on Raw last night when they were talking about the Mexico shows.
Yeah. So if they bring her up to the main roster, like if she comes in, just does house shows and main roster, perfect. That's what they need, because they need some young, skilled in-ring performers.
Are you calling the ladies old?
The average age
Jade Cargill's 42.
Well, there was something that...
What?
Yeah, Jade Cargill's 42. I think Natty Neidhart is 44 or 46. Tamina, I think, is mid-40s. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I saw something on X the other day, and it was talking about, like, because everybody said, oh, AEW's got all of these, older stars, and that's what they're doing. And so somebody actually went through the rosters and broke down the average age, and AEW's roster is, like, on average, 5 to 10 years younger than WWE's roster. And so, from the main roster.
That doesn't count because they hire on, like, 200 wrestlers.
And AEW or WWE?
Yeah, AEW.
Like,
both.
I was going to say, they both have got bloated rosters of people that are just sitting at home doing nothing.
Sure, but also at least WWE, you're dealing with like essentially 3 rosters, whereas AEW, it's supposed to be all the same roster. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
it just is what it is. It's just the way they have it set up.
Right.
So, not talking trash about AEW, just pointing out the differences.
Yeah. John Hayes goes on and he says, "Thanks, Dustin. Now I need to fire up the smoker."
You're welcome.
I have something from last week. I don't remember what you said last week. I don't remember what you said 5 minutes ago.
Food. You started talking about food. I wanted to go start up the smoker at 9 p.m. Central.
Oh, yeah. Ooh,
well, if I'm not on the podcast, that's what I usually talk about. Food.
Speaking about food that is not wrestling related, actually it might be, because Sheamus was talking about meat on X the other day. So speaking about food, we got one of those from both of your recommendations, the like the digital thermometers that you just stick in the meat and you cook it and it's supposed to like tell you what's going on. Yep. Oh,
that's great.
Jen used those in some butterfly pork chops in the air fryer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so good.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
You haven't had pork chops until you've cooked them to the right temperature and pulled them off at the right temperature so that they're cooked but not overcooked. And juicy and dry.
Delicious.
All the variances. Yeah, you get it right. And you were telling me about it. You're like, I so cut good. Into it and it melted on the plate.
It was so good. So yeah, I've just been
here, I can smell it.
I keep telling her, she's like, "What do you want for dinner?" And I was like, "Pork chops." The next day, "What do you want for dinner?" "Pork chops." The next day, "What do you want for dinner?" "Pork chops." Like, I'm not sick and tired of pork chops yet. Just keep feeding me pork chops.
Yeah. So. Look, Dustin's licking his lips already.
Very true.
Whoa.
Okay. Continuing on with John Hayes' multi-part comment. The WWE
be a guest commentator on here.
No
hey,
kidding.
You'll get to know John Hayes when he comments. It's like 8 different comments in one. And then he expects you to try to figure out how to answer it, because the very last comment, he's like, "Have fun with the multi-part comment, Josh. You know what to do." Yes, John, I do know what to do. I just answer it over the air so I don't have to type anything anymore. But no, okay, so the final part, or the second to final part.
Yeah.
The WWE only shows could just be for me. I don't catch any of the AEW ones. So John's one of those guys
what's wrong with him.
He doesn't catch the AEW stuff. So there's a lot of people that don't catch the AEW stuff. There's a lot of people that are going to be catching even more WWE stuff, though. I don't know if you guys caught this. At the WWE Super Show they had down there in Mexico, they put up on the screen, here's what is coming to Mexico's Netflix in 2025. Everything. Starting in January, Mexico gets Raw, they get SmackDown, they get NXT, they get every single one of the PLEs, all on Netflix for Mexico.
Interesting.
So I know in the US, we'll have Fox on, or SmackDown on Fox. No, SmackDown on USA, and NXT is on the CW.
Okay, wait, what? Okay, nobody watches NXT.
Or is it SmackDown? Yeah, SmackDown's going to USA because they're currently on Fox.
But all the PLEs are going.
I believe they're all going to Netflix. Yes.
Okay. And the rest of the network is doing what? Staying with Peacock? Going back to doing its own thing?
I heard
rumors that
January
Netflix
1st, WWE Network is no longer because Netflix is getting it all worldwide.
Okay. Well, and I heard over the weekend that the contract that they came up with was for Raw and events. I didn't know which events or whatnot, but the network itself, they're negotiating the dollar amount right now for the network. But that was something that I heard in passing, and I don't know if I caught it wrong.
That could be.
Either way, as long as I don't have to have multiple subscriptions, then I'll be okay.
Yeah.
I mean, at this
even
point
if I can just get rid of Peacock, I'm happy.
Bumping up their price to match. They're bumping up their price to match Netflix at this point in time, trying to get a last little juice out of the orange, but whatever.
Yeah.
They've been all right.
Pull it up here. I think this is the one that I had seen. It's this image right here. Comes to Netflix January 1st. Raw, NXT, SmackDown, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, Money in the Bank, Elimination Chamber,
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Crown
Jewel, King and Queen of the Ring, and Backlash.
A bunch.
So it looks like every WWE pay-per-view, main roster pay-per-view, I imagine they're also going to get the NXT stuff as well, unless somehow the CW wound up negotiating something with that because they're getting NXT. If they're like, we want the NXT pay-per-views on our app, which that would just be dumb. But anyway, yeah.
All right, what's the last part of the John's questioning?
The last part was have fun with the multi-part comment.
Oh, okay.
I had fun with it. Maybe. Okay, so because John doesn't get to catch much of the AEW stuff, and we didn't really talk much AEW, and by much, any AEW last show, what'd y'all think of AEW this last week? Or the last couple weeks?
Refresh my memory on what's been happening.
The Owen Hart Cup Tournament.
Yes.
And MJF going back heel was kind of being somewhat tweener with Daniel Garcia, and then just completely turned on him.
You wouldn't call it a heel turn. I mean, he's never really been.
It was a pivot.
Playing the good guy. Pivot.
It's not a full turn. It was just a pivot. Dustin, what did you think of AEW the last couple weeks?
So I'm not a big Daniel Garcia fan anyway. So to me, that wasn't really a heel turn. It was something that needed to be done.
Taking out the garbage.
Yeah. I'm loving House of Black still. I mean, each week they just get tougher and tougher, and it's just, I'm looking forward to Buddy coming back. I'm looking forward to Julia Hart coming back eventually, hopefully. Yeah, I'm liking it. I kind of knew that Bryan Danielson was going to end up winning the Owen Hart thing. I didn't realize it was going to be as bloody as it was.
I was actually shocked.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. Like, I'm not mad about it, but I thought with the buildup they had and like the surprise of, Adam Page. It was like I kind of expected. I was expecting Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland number 3.
Right.
That's what I thought was going to happen. So, and there was also a moment I thought it was going to be Jeff Jarrett. Like that promo that Jeff Jarrett did talking about what Owen meant to him. Like that hook, that got me. I was like, oh, okay, Jeff Jarrett's making a face turn and he's actually going to win this thing. All right. That'll be interesting. So yeah.
But I liked him as the special enforcer. I liked Jarrett in that role.
Yeah.
I thought he did it real well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you did a good job.
It was good.
The women's, who won the women's again? I forgot.
Mariah May.
Mariah May. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Speak of blood. Loving Toni Storm.
Oh yeah.
Loving Toni Storm. Man.
Talk about
a champ.
Another shock. Something that surprised me. I did not expect that quick of a turn from Mariah May. I thought they were going to drag this out, but that was quick turn.
Yep.
Especially with the last pay-per-view with the, this is my friend, this is my mentor, and they're not getting along, but let's see if we can't make everybody all happy, hunky-dory, and then this, and even ending that whole thing on walking off in the sunset together, then we get to this, and
yeah. It was good, and yeah,
Luther off the stage,
right?
Get it, boy.
Chucking him off the stage.
Let's just telegraph that one.
Yeah, it was.
Still, come on.
Yeah.
Woo! Hold on, is this where you want me, Mariah? You want me standing right here? Okay, hit me.
Right.
And Luther's good enough. He should. Yeah, we'll leave Luther alone. I like Luther.
My only, I didn't even critique that, but my critique was the blade was so dead center. It was like we had to get right in the middle, right in the middle. It was like,
I didn't mind that because the very first shot she gave her was with the belt. And because I watched it back, and like she hits her with the belt and she goes down, kind of rolls blades, starts to pull her up, and it's right dead center, and it's just one little thing. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that kind of works because you get hit one spot, makes sense. But then when she starts, hey, Toni, watch out for the shoe. She just starts digging the heel into the head, and then just, crimson mask all over. Kudos. Toni Storm did the job. Great.
Right. And here's the thing. You see that in the guys. You don't see that in the women. And
well, you see it more in AEW. You see it more in AEW, especially since, have you had the chance, Corey, to go back and watch, what was it, Britt Baker,
Jamie Hayter, Anna Jay, and Ty Mello.
I'm not even talking that one. I'm talking going back, way back. It was like the second year. It was Britt Baker and somebody else in a hardcore match, and it was really bloody.
Oh,
and it was really, really good.
To me, the one with the tag team, Ty Mello and Anna Jay, I think it was against Britt and Jamie Hayter. It might have been somebody else, but I know it was Ty and Anna in there. That was gruesome.
Yeah. And
from the ladies, and it was an excellent match, and it was gruesome. And I was just like, I was torn on how I felt about it. 'Cause I'm like, I shouldn't enjoy this as much as I'm enjoying it right now. I started to question myself and thinking, is there something wrong with me?
Like, well, yes, short answer, but we don't know what. So
yeah,
you're still working.
Speaking of Jamie Hayter, somebody that's read somewhere that she was backstage with AEW last week.
Ooh.
They're talking rumors about trying to bring her back. She's in talks with Tony Khan about it. I like Jamie Hayter.
Yeah. Yep, that'll be good. Let's see. I'm trying to think of some other stuff that was happening there on.
That was the big stuff.
AEW.
Oh, you touched base on House of Black. What's the tag name thing that they came out with?
Oh,
The Throne of Black,
Kings of the Black Throne or something like that.
Yeah, that's it. That kind of just why?
I've heard them say that off and on, since they started. It was just never. I don't know if maybe that just because of the fact that
it's just those two specifically.
Buddy's not there, that they're like, well, this is what we would, or if there's only two of us, that's what. I don't know.
I don't either.
Doesn't make any sense to me, because just go with House of Black.
Right.
I like it, especially because the house wins, so it's just there's so many plays they have on that. But yes, that was good. I got a kick out of that Takeshita Tommy Billington match.
Okay.
I'm liking it.
I want to jump in here. So, this is not.
Hold up. You say that like this is something new. You jumped in the whole night so far. I'm like, wow, he's jumping in. Okay.
I mean, right?
I'm waiting for you to jump out.
I want to shift gears.
Oh, okay.
I want to shift gears. Sense. I want to shift gears. So the thing I absolutely totally get a kick out of being a fan of wrestling today, as opposed to 15 years ago. 20 years ago, it was you have a show, you're sitting and watching it. Mm-hmm. I remember doing Raw and Nitro parties, and you would sit there and watch all of Raw because there was no replay, and then you would watch all of Nitro because there was a replay. And you would actually, the timing, you'd watch the first hour of Nitro, then watch all of Raw, then the second hour of Nitro, and so you could catch everything and not miss what was important.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have to sit through Disco Inferno matches.
True.
So I don't have to sit through Alex Wright promos. So I get to use fast forward through all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And believe me, when I come across, and I've said this before, when I come across a women's tag that I know is going to be a complete train wreck and make me want to stab my eyes out, then that fast forward button goes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't let it play and go get a cup of coffee or some tea. I'm just buzz through it and I get to the next thing.
Right.
When we have a AEW show where they have a barn burner like Takeshita and the Billington kid, wow, I liked it.
So good.
I enjoyed the crap out of that thing. I was on the edge of my seat.
Yep.
Yet, seemingly almost the rest of the show, there was something. Okay, nope, not interested.
Yeah.
Why am I watching a jobber tag match again? Okay, these guys haven't done anything. They've not been on a pay-per-view. Why are we filling this?
Right.
Oh, we got this big person. Buzz through that. I don't care either.
Yep.
And it just is what it is. That show, that match they could have put on a pay-per-view and I would have been thrilled.
Agreed.
The fact that I got it for free and I didn't have to drive to go watch it or anything, I was just like, that kid, goodness. Whether he cuts a promo or not, who cares?
Exactly.
Give him a manager, put him in a tag, teach him how to talk. And from the what little bit he said, he doesn't have a super crazy thick accent. So yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, his uncle never did a whole lot of promos either. It was mostly Davey Boy that did a lot of those promos.
Right. But I kept expecting his uncle at Dynamite's accent, but Tommy's not near as thick as accent
Not as thick
as Dynamite. So he just needs some reps. He's going to be good. I'm so looking forward to it.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm a little torn. I get what you mean on the matches and the fast forwarding, because to me it's like that was the perfect match to start off the show. I like when they start off with a match and it's a great match. It takes me back to WCW Monday Nitro days where it's like coming right out that first hour, you're getting cruiserweight action right at the top of the show. And it hooked you into the show and you bought in. But then they would always advertise the main event was something that made you want to stick around for it. And you tell me I'm going to watch Top Flight versus Shane Taylor Promotions? Like, you haven't given me a reason to want to watch the rest of the show.
Right.
Like that.
Right.
Oh, okay. I would rather you just say, hey, coming up, we're going to have MJF promo. I'll wait for that over Top Flight versus Shane Taylor Promotions, because I haven't been able to buy into those guys as much. Like, they're okay in the ring, and they don't have promos. So it's like...
Right. I would even hang in there with hey, we're going to have an update on Toni Storm's condition.
Right.
Really?
Now,
well, let's get to it.
Unfortunately, Dante Martin, he had some momentum going with him right before he ended up, breaking his ankle really bad in that ladder match. And he was starting to make some waves, but then it died big time when he broke his ankle. And he came back. I mean, they touched on it a little bit when he ended up doing the ladder match again. But then they have not pushed him like they did before. Yes. I think Dante Martin, compared to his brother, I think Dante's more marketable.
Right.
Action Andretti, his big thing was he beat Jericho, and since then he hasn't really done a whole lot.
Yeah.
They should have. They dropped the ball on that one. They could have done more with that one than what they did. So, but then, I mean, that's AEW too. It's a young company. They dropped the ball on a lot of people. They dropped the ball on Miro. They dropped the ball on Andrade. They dropped the ball on, all these guys that they could have really done something with.
Well, some of it, because I was thinking about this too, especially like Miro and Andrade that you mentioned specifically. And I was thinking about it, and part of it I think is on the guys themselves, because Miro, he wound up taking a weird little turn with his promos. Mm-hmm. Because at first when he was just talking about, I am the Redeemer and how he's getting, these messages from God and he's coming to do this. But as soon as then you start to talk about now you're getting a message from a female too, and it's like you just changed the path that your whole promo and this backstory was going on, all because you wanted your wife to be in the company is what we smart marks perceived. And it was like, and now you changed. We were with you. We're going this way. And then all of a sudden you just button hooked us. And when you do that, it becomes so disruptive that some people are just like, nah, pass. I just don't have the time to reinvest into a brand new character arc that you want to do when you didn't even fulfill on that one. Like, at least come to some logical conclusion with it to where we can ride with you. But when out of the blue you just change it, it doesn't work. And Andrade, I mean, look at what he's doing in even WWE right now. The dude cannot cut a promo. And that is hard to get behind. And especially when you come to a company like AEW, the in-ring talent is elite. It is at this high standard. And so if you're just holding with everybody else, you've got to have something that sets you apart. And that's where some of the character, the high guys, like, and that Jericho's a perfect example, because Jericho now is not on the skill level, in-ring competition level that he was 10 years ago. And he's not on the same level as the other guys. But when he gets into his character mode, he's leaps and bounds beyond everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like guys like Miro and Andrade, it's like you were given opportunities and you were given chances and you just didn't quite capitalize on it. MJF was given a chance and he capitalized on it. Swerve Strickland, given a chance and capitalized on it. And I think part of that he's got to give credit to Prince Nana, because it's so goofy that people buy it and they like it. So that's where I get AEW. On some, they're kind of dropping the ball. Some of them, you've got to give them more opportunities. At the same time, it's a next man up mentality in any type of company, any type of sports. And when your number's called, you better be ready to swing for the fences. And if you don't, chances are the next guy's coming up.
Yeah, and you say Chris Jericho, that's a prime example, because almost every single one, Chris Jericho's Lionheart back in WCW. It was great when it was happening, but then it started getting dull. And then he changed himself. He goes to WWE, becomes Y2J, all new. And all of a sudden, it's gimmick after gimmick after gimmick after gimmick.
Yep.
And it's, when he feels himself starting to get more on the dull side, when he was in AEW and the whole audience, it was between him, honestly, it was between him and Seth Rollins, who's getting a bigger reaction out of the audience.
Right.
Seth Rollins was getting everybody singing, but so was Chris Jericho. In fact, Chris Jericho, they were singing the words.
Yeah, they were singing the actual lyrics to the point where he's like, okay, we have to actually kill the music so that they know this is when you stop. You get the first verse and that's about it.
But even that, it started getting repetition and it started getting old. So then he changed it all up again.
Yep.
He's a creative mind, and he's a genius.
Well, and he's been doing that even, you mentioned WCW. Yeah, he had the Lionheart, and then he went into the Man of 1,004 moves and holds, and then he went into mocking Goldberg with Rufus all the time, and it's like he kept changing things up even in WCW. It was like any time, and here's where the learning tree and the TV time, this is a throwback to Jericho's entire career, and he has been trying to tell everybody his entire career. Samoa Joe, I have been trying to tell you all along, this is what you need to do. Like, I can now see it's like, this is who Jericho has been. He's been telling people, you have to change, you have to adapt, you have to reinvent yourself, you've got to experiment, and then take chances, take risks. If it works, run with it. If you throw something out and it doesn't work, get rid of it as soon as you can.
Pivot.
Pivot. Yeah.
The days of Hulk Hogan going, 3-4 years with the same gimmick, it's gone. It's gone.
Right.
Everything's so instant nowadays that you got to change it as soon as you start feeling it getting old.
I agree with both of you. When you get into a character and you try to pivot and you lose them, you may want to make an adjustment.
Right.
Jericho but he is pivoting. It's not just a complete personality change every time. It's like one week he's this and the next week he's that. He does a pivot, or he goes away, gets a new coat of paint, comes back, and then we're just a little variation, but he's constantly evolving like that. The thing that I wonder is, does AEW have house shows?
No.
So house shows for years has been where some of the boys in the Fed and whatnot have been developing some of these characters and test driving some things. And we'll try this for a few weeks and see if it's catching on, see if we're getting any traction. It's not. Let's try something different.
Yep.
But at least they're doing that off camera so that when they do catch something that's catching on, then they can continue with that momentum. Whereas I kind of wonder, and I don't know, but I wonder if maybe AEW would benefit from doing something like that, so that when they do have somebody, whether it be a Miro or whoever else, coming out and they're trying something and it's not quite getting the reaction that they're looking for, they might be able to adjust, pivot, so that when they do hit it on camera, that it does take off. But I have no idea. You guys would know better than I would as to if this is a pattern with AEW, if they're just continuously bringing on so many new people and so many new people that it's about the novelty of what's new as opposed to really building and establishing these people over the long term. I mean, Adam Copeland, I mean, he comes on board and he's just like, I'm not just going to cut a promo each week. We're going to do work. Let's go.
Right.
I want to be on every single show that you let me on. Let's go.
Well, and see, I think part of that though is if they start doing house shows, they're going to lose a lot of people because a lot of the reason a lot of wrestlers are going to AEW is because of the work schedule, because of the fact that they're not having, it's lighter. And if they start doing house shows, then all of a sudden you're working 5-6 days a week. And then, you're doing the 200-300 days out of a year. And now all of a sudden, if you have the choice, you're doing 300 days out of the year. Would you rather do 300 days for AEW or WWE? Yeah, I think a lot of people would probably jump ship and go back to WWE for that.
And the flip side is some of those guys are essentially doing house shows when they're taking other indie bookings. So I know like when Swerve first came in, the character that he first brought when he first came in to AEW is not where he's at now. But while he was doing a bunch of the indie shows, he started playing around with it a little bit. And he was noticing that on the indies, they were starting to resonate with this certain thing. And so he's like, all right, let's try this. And I know that I think I remember somebody interviewing Moxley and he was saying the same thing. Like he didn't know, he wanted to go back to kind of what he used to do, but he didn't know how it was going to work now. Like wrestling now is different from 15 years ago when he was doing it. So him getting out and doing some other GCW shows or going to Wrestling Revolver, he was able to kind of test it in front of a live crowd. And it's like, oh, they're actually buying this and they're getting behind it. Let's test it out in AEW and it works. So that's where I think some of them, they've got those opportunities if they want it. Others aren't doing it. And then we look at the outliers of, the Christians, the Chris Jerichos, the Adam Copelands. Those guys can reinvent themselves because they've been doing it for 30, 40 years. And they know at this point, they've got such a good feel for the wrestling, community and fan base and just what pro wrestling is in general, that they know if I do something like this, it's similar to what I did here with a little bit of a tweak here. It seems fresh, it seems unique, but I've seen this guy do it, and I did something similar, so this is an easy fit. I mean, you look at even Jericho's stuff, and it's like, he did something similar back here, but this is just a different angle on it.
As far as the frequency of working goes, I think that's actually smart to play. I heard recently that some of the guys that have been going back to WWE have been commenting that having the lighter schedule of only wrestling once or twice a week was harder on their body. While they weren't exerting themselves as frequently, the impact was harder on their body than when they're working a regular, consistent schedule in WWE. And that they just credited that to building up that callus on the body of over time. I think maybe like a Swerve, him being in a situation of taking some extra bookings on those off days may have played out for him because that guy seems to be in a situation where you beat the tar out of him and he just keeps getting back up. Him and Ospreay and who's clearly taking additional bookings as well.
Right.
But they were commenting about how we see a influx of people getting injured with AEW. Part of it is the style, but part of it is also they haven't built up that callus to be able to withstand it as often as if they are having the every 2-3 days you're in there.
Yeah. I heard that too, and I wondered how much is the correlation or causation. Because you look at other like professional sports, and it's like you've got NFL that they're playing once a week. And it's
but they're
high impact.
But they're training the rest of the week.
Correct. But
impact.
Some of them. I mean, because I was just watching like the receiver documentary, and I don't remember who it was. I think it might have been Devontae Adams even, kind of breaking down his schedule. And he's like, Sunday, we've obviously got our game. On Monday, we're going through like tape, and we're just setting in like the classroom, and we're just looking at tape. And then on Tuesday, we're in our captain's meetings, and then we've got team meetings. And then on Wednesday, we're getting into like some real light type workout and different game plans. And the way he was describing it was like, oh, so you've only got like one day that you're going half speed with some pads on, and then you're in the game on Sunday. Now, I'm sure during training camp and stuff, it's different, but then I also think back when we were doing like indie stuff. I mean, how many guys do we actually remember when we were doing it that were being injured? Like every now and then somebody would, but it wasn't that often. And these were guys that they were wrestling once a week if they were lucky, and most of them only once a month. And then if they were training in between, it was maybe once a week if they were smart.
Right.
So there wasn't that much injury that was happening there. But then, they start taking more bookings and you start doing it. I think it's probably more coincidental than anything. It might have to do with the actual style of work. It could also be these are guys that are used to working 20-foot rings, and then all of a sudden they're going to the 18-foot rings again. And so there's a little bit that's just throwing off some of their steps. Who knows?
We could sit here and speculate, but most likely it's like a half dozen things and how it all lines up. And
right. Yeah. And the majority of it comes down to just flukes of nature.
Well, and bad decision making, taking a leaping jump off the top of a cage, and
Yep.
Landing on your feet. No. Mm-mm.
Probably not a wise idea. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you get Adam Copeland saying, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. It's like, yeah. Mid-air, all of a sudden, it's like, wait, I should not try to jump off and land on my feet.
You always realize it halfway down. It's like,
it's like, uh-oh.
Oh, this guy's as big as I am. How many broken ribs?
Oh. Yep.
Yep. Okay. Hey.
Famous last words. I got an idea.
Yeah.
No, don't.
So, speaking of pivoting, let's pivot back over to WWE. Okay.
Oh, okay.
SmackDown. Trying to remember SmackDown. Obviously, Bloodline stuff happening on SmackDown. I kind of got a mild kick out of Nia Jax's BBL Bayley comment that she made, looking at her backside. Is she the Brazilian butt lift Bayley? Definitely different from.
Is that what that means?
I believe so. I could be completely out of touch, but I believe BBL is in referencing Brazilian butt lift, and if not, that's what I intend it to mean. Because it does seem like Bayley she keeps growing size right there on the backside.
Whoa. We got body shaming coming from Nia Jax.
I don't know if it was necessarily body shaming at all. It was just kind of stating the obvious.
Well, that's fine and dandy. I mean, maybe it's just that she's jealous that she goes this way instead of getting curves, but I don't know.
Could be. I will say that I don't know what's going to happen with Bayley versus Nia Jax, and then you got Tiffany Stratton, with the Money in the Bank, and what's going to happen with that women's title. I don't know what's going to happen, and I think of all three scenarios. Could it be Bayley retaining? I wouldn't be upset at that. Could it be Nia winning it? I really wouldn't be upset at that. And what if Tiffany winds up getting in the way and takes it? I wouldn't be upset with that either. that's where, from that title, I'm really intrigued with how it's going, and I like it. Bayley doesn't have as much personality now as she used to. Nia's got a lot more personality now than she used to. So, and Tiffany's just new. So here's the thing. Yeah, her wrestling ability, her in-ring is not stellar. But what she seems to be doing is she seems to be going the Hulk Hogan route. And that's not just a commentary on the leg drop, but it seems to be less is more. And if I can get over and get things accomplished by doing fewer things, why not? I mean, her match is basically somebody runs off the ropes and she does a big, like Vader splash mid-ring and they fall. She winds up giving them the Hogan leg drop. She'll occasionally do a Samoan drop. And she does like that hip buster in the corner and rubs her butt in her face like Rikishi would do. And then the big Yokozuna drop. Like, that's her move set. And yet every one of those moves, because of her size, it's like, those are good. Like, even the leg drop, I like her leg drop better than I liked Hogan's leg drop. I mean, she's got more leg to drop on them.
I disagree. Hogan only had a few moves, but he did them a lot better than a lot of people. His leg drop, and we always poke fun of it, saying the stinky leg drop, but it was a decent leg drop.
It was a good leg drop.
He could get some air.
He could get some air. It was consistent. But when he would drop it, like, I think back on his leg drop, and it's like, okay, it was a leg drop. Like, it's just a move. When I think of Nia Jax dropping her leg on top of somebody, I'm like, there's a lot more of that leg that's coming down on their face. So there's something about that it just seems a little bit more devastating to me.
Right. I see where you're going.
But yeah, I wouldn't be upset if Nia takes it. I mean, it's like, I'm okay with that. I don't know what way they're going. I'm not upset either way. I do realize when our SummerSlam predictions come in, I have no clue what I'm going to predict on that one.
With the teaser of Tiffany Stratton going to cash it in, and Nia turning around and giving her the nasty look, and she's like, "Oh no, that type of thing." I'm leaning towards Nia taking it and then Tiffany cashing in, but I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll save that for prediction day.
Do you guys think that it's more fun having no possible clue about what's going on but being curious and intrigued as opposed to, oh, they're totally doing this and just wanting to see it?
Sometimes, yeah.
It depends on what it is, though, I guess.
Yeah, it depends on what it is. Because some things you can see coming a mile away, and yet you're still excited to see it. It's like, I know this is where we're heading, but I'm excited. Other times, yeah, I like the surprise. What else happened on SmackDown? Chelsea Green in the backstage promos trying to get a chance to talk to, was it Nick Aldis?
They were great.
That was hilarious.
Funny. That was good stuff.
That was good
stuff.
LA Knights turns around, he signs the contract, and turns around and tells Logan Paul he needs to sign it one way or another, that type of thing.
Yep.
I think, that's a whole other prediction. I think that's going to be an easier prediction than the Bayley match, in my opinion.
Right. Yep. And then Bloodline. That was.
So I saw.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I saw something on the Bloodline. One of the guys, conspiracy theories was, if you remember, here's Jacob Fatu and he's standing behind Solo and he's got his hands in the prayer position, but yet he's kind of doing that little half look up out of the top of his eye. And the conspiracy theory is So was Jacob Fatu hired by Roman to kind of come in and spy on Solo Sequoia? Corey's like, please, please, yes.
I hope
so. I think so. I hope so, because he's different than everybody else on the new bloodline.
Yeah,
it's not the same. It's you got Solo Sequoia and the Tongans. They all kind of have that same feel.
Yeah.
Where Jacob Fatu is like a different feel. He's like more of a Roman Reigns bloodline feel.
Here's my take on it. Jacob Fatu does not need the bloodline. They need him.
Agreed. Yeah.
But man, that guy came on board. I was getting bored and it was getting stale. He come on board and I was like, uh-oh. Business is about to pick up.
Yeah. The end of that tag match when DIY retains their titles, which congratulations to DIY on winning those.
Yeah.
And Jacob Fatu comes running out, and Austin Theory eats that jumping back elbow thing that, it's almost like Osprey's hidden blade. But man, he just hits that, takes out Austin Theory, jumps in, lays out both of DIY, hits his springboard, flippy moonsault,
seated moonsault, yeah.
And then goes over to, and he does that on Shawn Michaels, and then he goes over and on Triple H, he hits the triple jump moonsault and wipes out DX.
And R-Truth cried all night.
Cried so bad. He didn't realize that DX was in the Bloodline's crosshairs. No, Jacob Fatu, and I think it might have been Corey Graves that said this guy is a special talent. Absolutely. It's just like he is. That's the thing that makes me, like you were saying, Corey, excited about the potential for Stephanie Vacour, because here you bring in Jacob Fatu, who he is not in the Fed system, and they bring him straight in and they push him because they're like, this guy is special, and we cannot hold him back. We need to let him just flourish. If they do the same thing, recognize Stephanie Vacour and say, she's special. Like, she is so special. Bring her in. I get that, but they're not doing that with Julia, and Julia from New Japan, that's another thing. Like, they could have brought her straight in, thrown her on the main roster, another special talent. But they've already announced, no, she's going to NXT.
Now, you also, and I don't know a whole lot on Julia, but Stephanie Vacour, she just did a pay-per-view championship match.
Correct.
In the U.S.
Yep.
Dropping her down, you're not going to keep any momentum. You're going to stop every bit of momentum that you might get. And at this point in time, just push that, because she's and seeing her ring work, does she really need it?
No.
I mean, she just went toe to toe with somebody that was working your system for how many years, and I outclassed her.
Yeah, she can do it,
in my opinion. So what else does she need to learn?
Nothing.
Just how to adjust it to 2 more feet in the ring.
Yeah.
And then the interactions with different people and building those relationships in those spots, that's going to happen anyways.
Yep. Yeah, and she would be a fun one. Like, if they really want to give her kind of even maybe a little bit more attention, it would be interesting if the 2 different Latin factions, with the LWO and then Santos Escobar's crew, if like both of those are trying to recruit her, and they're like, we want her in here, like it gives a little bit more attention. It elevates her to be a special talent, because it takes that, we're trying to draft her, we want her, because she's going to help us too. And that, I think that would just be a fun storyline to play out. It also gives them the ability to then say she may not have a full grasp of the English language to be able to cut promos yet. So we've got these people that can help with it. And kind of bring her.
Right.
But yet they showed a little video clip, just a real quick video clip of Damian Priest interacting with her backstage in Mexico last week.
Yeah.
And that got me thinking when I saw that. I'm like, are they going to try to say Damian Priest, maybe bring her in, and then all of a sudden have a Rhea Ripley getting upset because she's the female in the Judgment Day, and now there's a little squabble between them, which I think would be amazing, an amazing match between the two of them.
That would be hilarious. Damian brings her in, and she gets upset, and he's like, "Why are you mad at me? Dom brought in Carlito."
Right, exactly. Exactly. Or maybe that's the out for Damian Priest. Maybe that Damian Priest then turns around and kind of takes her under his wing a little bit because he can speak.
Yeah.
And cut a promo, and maybe that's his out for the Judgment Day of going and taking her under his wing and kind of doing it that way.
Yep.
There's a lot of scenarios that they could use her for.
I don't think her English is horrible.
No.
It's only going to get better. If we're getting down to the two Latin factions, I would like to see them kind of debate and barter over between who's going to get her, and have her just give them both the Stone Cold salute and tip off and go do her own thing.
Do her own thing, yeah, that'd be fun.
Like, y'all squab them like children. I'm out of here.
Yep.
So moving on, and speaking of Rhea Ripley and Mommy, and last night. That was so entertaining.
That was so good. The whole thing, like I loved the backstage with Jey Uso walking up. He's like, "Is she single?"
Single?
Even fast forwarding to the end, and he's like, "Call me."
Right.
And Rhea's little smirk out of the side, trying not to break character.
So was it just me, or when she was back there, and then here's Dominic, and he goes, "But you belong to me." And I thought, he did not say that. He did not say, no.
Thank you.
No, you didn't.
Thank you.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, you didn't.
I'm yelling at the TV, "Not property. What are you doing?"
It was hilarious. And Carlito walking up and being like, "Not cool.
Not cool."
Just like,
what? How many people could get away with that? Of just that's your whole deal. It's cool or not cool, and you just roll up on everything. That's cool.
Yeah.
Or not cool.
Not cool. And
that's all he has to do.
And your accessory is an apple.
It's an apple.
And you built your career off of, "I spit in the face of people who aren't cool." And you just get to spit apples at people? Like, dude, Carlito, he's so good. And even here, X amount of years later, 20 years later or whatever, like, he's so good in the ring too.
Right.
And again, talk about character that is less is more. That's Carlito. Yep. Why would I have to say, cut a 3-minute promo when I can just take the Jericho learning tree model of maximizing my minutes by saying, "That's cool." Like, he maximizes his minutes. I remember him. It's not cool.
It's not cool. That's not cool.
It's hilarious.
Speaking of, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna pivot again.
Oof.
So, speaking of cool, my biggest emotional impact last night was the promo with Erick Rowan. I mean, it was, I'm literally cheering up because, in AEW, when, John ended up passing away, Eric Redbeard, he came the very following for the memorial show that they had,
Yep.
and he came to AEW and he wrestled, and the emotion that he brought on that show,
Crazy.
you felt it. You felt his pain of losing somebody that was a literally a bludgeon brother to him, and now all of a sudden you got Bray Wyatt passed away. Now he's back in the WWE with Bo Dow, and when he did that promo and he's explaining, he lost one brother and then he lost another one.
Yeah.
And he fell down that hole, that well, and he actually didn't want to come up out of it. And I'm just, that whole time, how many people can just relate to the way he was explaining losing somebody?
Yep.
If nothing else, there are people out there that watch that and they're like, yes, he just verbalized the way I felt when I lost my brother here, or my friend here, or my parent, or my uncle, cousin, whatever it may be. It was money. Perfect promo.
It was. Well, and the whole thing, yes, money on multiple levels. One, perfect way for him to get across why he is in the Wyatt Six. Like, why is he a part of this? How does he connect and relate? But it not only does that, like you said, he becomes relatable. So then it brings those people that are like, now I can relate to this whole group who have been overlooked, who have been forgotten, who have went through stuff, and they've just needed somebody to believe in them and to pull them out of that. Like, now that one promo brings all those people in. And then another layer to it is the fact that prior to this, all we had was Uncle Howdy's promos with Bo Dallas. And we go from last week seeing Bo in person live, and now all of a sudden here comes the video vignette of Erick Rowan. And I'm thinking, if you can now do this, even if it's just 1 week for each of these characters, it doesn't have to be the 3 weeks in a row like it was for Bo Dallas. But if it's 1 week, great. If it's 2 weeks, even better. Now you have drugged this out another 3 months before we even get into some real in-ring action. Although that in-ring action with Bo Dallas then on top of that, the eerie similarities of him laughing while getting beat up, and then the yeah. And it was just like, oh, this is channeling Bray so much. The whole deal, the whole storytelling ability. I don't know who is in charge of this writing and who's doing it. It feels like there's a big collaboration on this. Whatever they're doing, keep doing it, because you're doing it right.
And if you go back to Erick Rowan, go back and listen to the Chris Van Vliet interview with him, where he interviewed Eric, and he made the comment. He goes, "I'm okay if I don't wrestle again for a big promotion. I'm okay with that."
Yeah.
But he ends up going in and saying, "But for me to come back, especially coming back to like the WWE or coming back to AEW, it's got to make sense.
Yeah.
It's got to be the story that's going to turn around and make sense." And this is a situation where it makes sense, 100%.
Yep.
Yeah. The thing that I take away, I think we finally stumbled upon it, or at least I'm recognizing it, is that something that the WWE has been doing for the last however long, but I really seen it over the last several months and maybe since WrestleMania, is that they are really digging in to the depth of character. That these characters that they're portraying, not only is there a piece of true life reality behind them in some regard, but there's layers upon layers upon layers of it. Unlike maybe some of these failed experiments, shall we call them, that other performers or other promotions maybe have tried and dabbled in and then just kind of dropped the ball on. When you look at some of the different things from the Cody finishing his story to the Rhea defending her belt, then having to forfeit it, then shifting gears, and now we got this love triangle thing and coming back for vengeance, but also to beat the other girls, Keister, and just continue to the Wyatts, which initially come in as this spooky menagerie of characters, but now we're digging into more of the psychological, personal side of it, which is humanizing them to us. And now instead of, and their focus isn't just to come in and spooky and we're going to stir things up and we're going to create some drama and put the spotlight on us, but they're coming in and they're focused on people that are not good to their family, and now they're spooky, but they're likable, and I almost cheer for them, but the depth of character and the layers is what's hooking me, and to the point where I'm like, yeah, give me more, please, more, please.
It's reminding me of when the faces of Foley started to be revealed and the depths of character of Mick Foley, and how, he went from being Mankind to Cactus Jack to Dude Love to just Mick Foley.
Right.
And
everybody loves Mick.
And because of all of that, everybody really relates to him and they start to buy in.
Right.
To the point, really, if we take wrestling history, go back to the Monday Night Wars, the pivotal moment when all of a sudden WWF at the time starts to turn things around from losing was the night that Mankind, he winds up winning the heavyweight title. Because when WCW announces on Nitro, hey, we're going to spoil the finish, everybody switched the channel. They're like, what?
Because it was taped the week before, and they're like, really?
Yeah. And that's the moment that everybody's like, the one thing nobody thought was going to happen, because he's not the big tough guy that's muscle bound. No, he wins it. Everybody's turning the channel. Everybody's going over and watching it. And that starts to shift it. And it was the character that people bought into and they could relate to.
Right.
The whole Wyatt thing, as good as the bloodline is and can be and has been at times, it's giving me a feeling like it could overtake that. It could be better because of the way it's going and without any title belts being necessary.
Currently, yes.
Yeah.
However, once Roman comes back and we start including some others, I think having a battle of the bloodlines, depending on the writing,
right,
that could be some. Yeah. We could get some real depth out of that too.
Yeah, it's one of those that I just sit there and I think about wrestling and the way it is. Doesn't matter if it's WWE, doesn't matter if it's AEW. What are the moments that, if I'm fast forwarding, I start to rewind because I don't want to miss a single second? It is Bloodline when Roman is really involved. And now that Jacob Fatu's involved, I'm doing the same thing. I'm backing it up just to make sure. It is everything to do with the Wyatt Six. It's everything to do with Timeless Toni Storm. It's it's still the learning tree stuff.
I think I was just to say, I think the WWE is doing it right, and to quote Stone Cold Steve Austin, the bottom line is the fact that it's being relatable to your audience.
Yeah.
Everything from Stone Cold fighting against the man, fighting against his boss, to, even go back to WCW when you turn around and had the takeover of the outsiders coming in You could relate to that because, certain people feel like they're an outsider to everybody else's group. So now you're coming into it. Then you fast forward and you got, the bloodline, interfamily woven problems between brothers, Jay and Jimmy, to their cousin, to their youngest brother, who is just a pain in the butt like ours, things like that. And then you fast forward and you've got Rhea Ripley. Okay, so Rhea Ripley, now she's property of Dominic, really? All these things, and Erick Rowan, all these things are all relatable. And that's the thing that gets people coming back week after week after week. And when you end a show, and the end of the show leaves you at that cliffhanger that makes you want to come back, you've got them. You've got the audience. You've got them locked in.
Yeah. The one thing you started as you're saying those things, Dustin, and it starts to remind me back, the relatability, I think, of the Wyatt Sick6 and the way that some of that is even coming in. It started making me think, okay, you talk about WCW, you talk about the Outsiders, you talk about Sting, who, hey, he has to leave, he comes back, and where does he actually fit in? It got me thinking about the Bloodline themselves. And the one thing that I hope WWE is very cautious with is that this Bloodline feud does not turn into NWO Black and White versus Wolfpack.
Oh, please, no.
Because it has the potential of doing that. Because already when I see Jacob Fatu or Solo Sikoa's version, I'm like, oh, that's kind of the Wolfpack. And it's like it's a watered down version, and it's like
Simone Werewolf.
Well, but even go into back when the NWO Wolfpack was there, you wind up getting Wolfpack Sting, and so he was somebody that you didn't expect coming into all of these other guys, and I don't know. They've got it has the potential of turning bad and going that path. Because there's nothing new that's out there. Like, we can look at all these different things and say, oh, that has elements of this, that has elements of that. Even the Wyatt Sick stuff, it's like, it brings me back to the Faces of Foley and how here's this one that was constantly overlooked, even going back to high school. There's those elements. I just hope the Bloodline doesn't go NWO faction split.
Well... We'll find out quickly when the Simone Werewolf comes out and his music kicks and it starts with a howl.
Oh, I hope not. But I don't know. It's just it's interesting thinking about that. And of course, you got me thinking about all these things and, the Rhea Ripley and not property. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, Sable and Mark Merrow. Oh, Miss Elizabeth Macho Man. Oh, it's like you got history repeats itself, and those were great storylines. Some of them can be very great if done well. I think WWE is doing it all well.
Right.
There's not much right now when I look at WWE that I really don't like. There's some things that I wish that were a little bit better, that had a little bit more polish, but you got something that you don't like?
I could pick on whatever, but that's how I roll. But man, they're doing so much good right now that I have a fast forward button. I can get past a stinky match until someone learns to work.
Yep.
Just stop this.
If they ever
stop this. Nobody cares. Stop this.
You know what? I will take watching Jade Cargill over having to watch this new Sonya Deville.
I didn't know that was her.
What is it?
Oh my gosh.
Deville, Baszler, and Stark group. Like
the trio that puts me to sleep. I'm turning the channel.
Yep.
Nope. Not interested.
I mean, I guess they were thinking, hey, how do we get... If we got like half a personality here and half a personality there and we put them together, maybe we will get a full personality. Nope, we got a quarter of a personality. Math didn't work out.
Nope.
So let's add another half a personality, and we still have a quarter of a personality.
And the funny thing is, when Baszler and Deville were actually tagging up before DeVille got hurt, it was like, they were okay, but
Okay.
that was about it. So, let's throw that same pile of crap against the wall and see if it sticks this time. It's not going to stick. It's going to keep falling.
Yeah.
So
I think at this point in time,
they lost me when the faces come sliding in. 3 of them come sliding in, and the 3 of them just stand there and they don't even bail. And I'm like, Nope, you lost me. And you've lost me for good. I have zero respect for your tag team now. I don't care how big you are. You bail. Like when I've seen Brock Lesnar jump out of the ring because a Rey Mysterio is running down. Like, no.
Zoom.
Like, the faces come into the ring, you bail. That's what you do. Otherwise, all you're doing is burying the face. And it comes across as I'm going into business for myself and I'm trying to be Bill Goldberg. And it's like,
and it goes back to the conversation that we have to have with newbies every time they come in is if you make the other guy look weak, how big of a wuss are you that you can beat him? If he is a monster,
right
now when you squeak out a win on a monster, you're the monster killer.
Right.
You look better when he looks better. Yep. That's how it works. That's what selling is. That's Wrestling 101. Put people in the seats, build up drama. Let's do this.
I hated it. Like, as I was ready to turn off the entire show at that moment. Because I was just like, I'm done. Like, who thought that this was a good idea? Who said that was okay?
I don't know. I had to fast forward to the next Judgment Day segment.
Well,
Oh, it's Carlito.
Actually, I think I might have actually gotten up and walked away from the TV a while and then come back when I kind of calmed down because it was like, that's ridiculous. And
no.
And I'll even do my weekly shout out to the indie scene in Iowa. Even AJ Smooth jobbed for Steve Shetler. I mean, come on.
Hey,
come on.
You know what? I still think one of the most, like, when you talk about selling and things like that are kind of an unexpected sell that puts somebody over and it puts you over as well. The Royal Rumble where Maven eliminated Undertaker.
Absolutely. It was Taker's idea.
Yes, Taker's idea. But, like, here's a guy that he's as green can be. And the only thing he can do is a drop kick. That's beautiful, mind you. Beautiful drop kick. But that's all he's got. And he came in and he drop kicks and eliminates Taker from the Royal Rumble. And the look on Taker's face and the way he turns. And it's just like, it made Maven more than what he was.
Yep.
Which then made Taker more than what he was. And it was just like, if that guy will do that to him, I don't care who the face is. Just bail. Just bail. It doesn't matter how big and tough you are. Just bail. Get out of there.
And even though it's all a work and everything's planned out and everything, I guarantee you Maven had some skid marks in his britches from that. Because that look from Undertaker was just like, oh no. Wait till he gets in the back.
Have you caught his interview on Chris Van Vliet and any of his YouTube stuff? Maven did a guest appearance on Taker's pod.
Yeah, and they talked about it.
And they were talking about it, and he's like, no, I thought it was being ribbed. No,
you're right.
But how many of us watched it and we're like, oh, he's gonna die. He's gonna die. Like, we're gonna see murder.
You're dead. Yep.
I'm glad there's an Undertaker there because he's gonna need it.
No. No, it's good stuff. Good stuff. It's good to be a wrestling fan today.
Yep. That it is. All right. Well, we've been going long-winded this week, so we should probably wrap things up. Once again, if any of the listeners have got questions, comments, feel free to drop them in a comment section below. You can catch us. Most of the info's in the details.
And if you want us to discuss something different, put it in the comments.
Yep.
Start a conversation. You know from today's show that we're going to go through the comments. We're going to answer questions. We're going to touch base with that. So you got a point to make or a question or just want us to start talking about your favorite? Which one is it? Tell us.
That's right. Dustin, any final shots from you?
No. I got nothing.
All right. Well, then that's all we got for you. And until next time, have a great week.
Bye, guys.